Welcome to this week's episode. Last couple weeks now we've been discussing canopy reduction. We were talking about frost eating food plots, enhancing side cover by using techniques like either felling or hinge cutting and letting woody browse come back in that area, as well as herbaceous growth. So on today's episode we're going to change it up a little bit. If you remember last year we discussed a shrub called honeysuckle, and it's an invasive species. It takes over areas and turns them into monocultures, not allowing sunlight to hit the forest floor. And we showed you guys how to identify the shrub, and we also showed you how to remove it by cutting it at the base and spraying it with the herbicide like Tordon. But we didn't really explain where should you be removing the honeysuckle. And what I mean by that is, what parts of the farm should you be removing this, and are there any benefits to leaving any of it? And so far what I've noticed with the honeysuckle is it will still grow in close canopy areas like right here. This is open hardwoods. We're up on a flat right now. And what we've been doing up here is select cutting. We've been select cutting undesirable trees, encouraging more sunlight, and that's going to help our mass producing trees, our crop trees like our oaks that we want to flourish up here. But it's also going to encourage that honeysuckle to take off once it gets more sunlight. So this is an area, as we improve the habitat up here, as we burn, as we do things like removing less desirable trees, opening the canopy, and we get more sunlight up here, we're going to have better habitat, we're going to have herbaceous growth, we're going to have better producing oaks, we're going to have better habitat all around that's going to help turkeys, small game, deer. But we're also going to have more honeysuckle, unfortunately. So this will be an area down the road we'll have to tackle. I'm walking by some honeysuckle right now. I see a couple here and there, but for the most part it's not too bad up here yet. So this is not an area, this is not a site that I'm going to focus on right now. So what is the site I'll focus on? Well, I'm going to be focusing on like my primary bedding areas. And it's not an area that a deer is going to bed all the time. But what I mean by that is it's the thickest cover, it's the densest area on the farm. Overall, it's the best bedding areas for deer to want to be come deer season, come fall. So those are the type of areas where I'm going to want to remove this invasive shrub, and I want to encourage more growth, more plant growth, and briars and things of that nature. That's going to not only allow the deer to still hide as they go through these areas, but it's also going to increase the food for them. And right now, these honeysuckle areas, they'll bed in them, but there's no food. It's just a desert underneath. So we're going to walk down to this primary bedding cover area on my farm. It's up on a flat. It's got an east-facing slope on one side that gets tons of sunlight, and then it's got a ravine on the other side. They really like using this area. So this is the type of site where I want to encourage more growth, encourage better cover for them, and maybe remove some of the honeysuckle. The downside to doing this is going to be, while removing honeysuckle, it's going to open that area up, which is good as far as being able to move through there, but it's going to be bad as far as side cover goes. So you really need to pick and choose where you're doing this, and maybe start in a site that's like 5 acres or an acre, and then let that site grow up and then move to the next site. I don't want to just come in my farm and eradicate all of it, which would be pretty hard to do anyway. It'd take every single day of the week and lots of chemicals. So it's not really realistic, but what is realistic is coming in every year and enhancing at least one area and encouraging more growth and more cover, more quality cover for your whitetail, turkey, small game species. So we're gonna head to the site. We're gonna show you guys what we're talking about, and we've already cut quite a bit. This area should have a ton of new growth and should really become a highly attractive area for turkey and deer to come to as far as bedding and cover goes. But also the turkeys are going to begin nesting on this area, because by getting that new young growth, we can come through, we can do a prescribed fire, we're creating that good brood habitat for them, and it's going to really encourage them to come in these areas. So head over there now. Alright guys, we're over at the site now. As you can tell, this looks fairly open. It wasn't at one time. We're piling up honeysuckle and then just deadfall as well. Eventually, as we clear out all around here, we got some hedge trees as well that we're going to take out of here. We do have some locusts. Gosh, I hate tackling locusts. That's such a messy tree to deal with. But as far as the hedge and honeysuckle goes, we're going to keep removing it. You can see a little bit of sunlight in here, but we started this project last year and there's really not that much native vegetation. We did notice some grasses and forbs coming up in this area last year, but really not that strong yet, and that's just due to the overall canopy in this area. So we need to keep working. You see behind me, it's just honeysuckle for as far as you can see. It's crazy. I can't even see the timber pond down here. It's just so covered up. So today what I want to do is I want to continue cutting. I'm going to work my way all the way down to the pond, and then I'm going to work my way all the way down to the bottom of this hillside here. This is that east facing slope. As we get further down that slope, clearing honeysuckle, we'll come through and we'll select cut some of the low value hardwood trees as well. Encourage more sunlight in the area. Same as what we're going to do in here. And this is going to turn into a really good, not only nesting site, but bedding cover, transition route, you name it. It's going to be an area where deer can get from one area to the next and feel comfortable moving through here. They'll have browse in here. This will be very attractive for them. We got a pretty good green plot down on the bottoms over here, so they like to bed up top and then move down to the food. That's another thing we do with most of our food plots. We like to put them in the bottoms and we keep the bedding up high. And we don't put food up here other than native growth, because I'm also trying to hunt these areas. We got an oak ridge, we got ravines, valleys, pinch points. So we're always thinking about the next best deer stand location and how we can enhance these sites. So these are the type of areas I'm looking for to remove honeysuckle in, the places that just got too thick for them and they really don't want to move in them anymore. So if you guys are on your property, go ahead and look for these thick cover areas or areas that you consider bedding areas. And these are the type of sites that I'm looking for to clear out. Come in, cut them, spray the stump with Tordon, and move on to the next one. Takes a lot of time, unfortunately. It's a pretty lengthy task, but it's manageable. You can do it by yourself. If you have some buddies, that sure helps. Get a few of you just running through with chainsaws, cutting it down, and then maybe have a guy or two behind you with this Tordon or some kind of chemical to remove this species. And that's our topic for today, guys. I hope that was helpful. This is a good time of season to do it. Everything's dormant right now. I'm not risking hurting my native trees, my hardwoods that I want to keep in this area. So I really like to take advantage of this time of year. Not only that, but it's easier to get through the timber when it's bare like this. As long as you guys are taking the proper precautions, make sure wear your chaps, helmet, gloves. If you don't feel comfortable running a chainsaw, then maybe hire a professional, somebody like myself that feels comfortable running a chainsaw. You can hire a logger, somebody who does timber for a living. Just make sure that you're taking precautions, wear long sleeves. These projects are fun, and people that really enjoy getting out and improving habitat, they know how fun these projects can be, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure you're getting home. So make sure to wear your safety equipment, guys. Get out there and start cutting some timber.